Night in the Amazon does not fall like a curtain. It thickens slowly, branch by branch, until the forest becomes a living chamber of sound, moisture, and hidden movement. The last birds vanish into the canopy. Frogs begin calling from flooded hollows. Insects rise from wet leaves. The air stays warm even after sunset, heavy with mud, fruit, animal musk, and standing water. Somewhere near the edge of a clearing, a sleeping animal shifts its weight. A cow breathes through its nose in the dark. A dog lies curled beneath a wooden shelter. A person sleeps under a thin cloth while the forest continues around them. This is the hour when the common vampire bat begins searching for a meal. The name makes the animal sound theatrical, almost imaginary. But the real vampire bat is more unsettling because it is so practical. Desmodus rotundus is not a large predator. It does not kill with strength, speed, or a crushing bite. It survives by being quiet, precise, and patient. In a forest where many animals announce danger with venom, claws, teeth, or noise, the vampire bat has evolved a different strategy. It does not need the victim to lose a fight. It needs the victim to remain asleep. Its success depends on making an injury so small, so clean, and so carefully managed that the body may not understand what happened until the bat is already gone. The bat leaves its roost after dark, often from tree hollows, caves, abandoned structures, or hidden places where the colony spends the day pressed together in warm clusters. Inside that roost, life is surprisingly social. Vampire bats groom one another, recognize familiar individuals, and may share food with roost mates that fail to feed. That cooperation matters because blood is a demanding diet. It is rich in fluid and protein, but poor in fat and carbohydrates, and a bat that misses too many meals can weaken quickly. The animal flying through the night is not a monster feeding for drama. It is a specialist living on one of the narrowest diets in the mammal world. As it approaches a host, the bat reads the world through more than one sense. Echolocation helps it navigate the dark, turning branches, bodies, posts, and open air into a map of returning sound. But the final decision happens closer to the skin. Around the nose and face, vampire bats have heat-sensitive structures that help them detect warmer patches where blood flows near the surface. To the sleeping victim, an ankle, a toe, an ear, or the exposed edge of a shoulder is just skin. To the bat, it is a thermal clue. Under that skin, vessels carry warmth through the body, and the bat is searching for the easiest place to open a route into that flow. It is not guessing blindly in the dark, it is reading circulation. The landing is usually light and careful. Many bats are awkward on the ground, but vampire bats are unusually capable movers. They can crawl, hop, and reposition themselves with surprising control, using their limbs and folded wings to move around the host. In the darkness near a sleeping animal, this makes them feel less like a flying predator and more like a tiny, silent trespasser. They can pause, test, adjust, and choose. If the host stirs, the bat may retreat and wait. If the host remains still, the animal continues its work. Before the bite, the bat may clear the feeding spot, removing hair or licking the skin. Then the incisors do what they are built to do. They do not rip like the teeth of a carnivore pulling down prey. They shave. The wound can be only a few millimeters wide, often around 5 to 8 millimeters, but it is cut with remarkable efficiency. The teeth are so sharp and the action so controlled that the bite may be barely felt or not felt at all. Pain would wake the victim. A struggle would waste energy. A loud attack would turn the host from food into danger. so the bat makes the first injury almost invisible. The real weapon arrives in the saliva. As the bat feeds, chemical compounds in that saliva interfere with the normal clotting response. In an ordinary wound, the body tries to close the breach quickly. Platelets gather, clotting factors move into place. A biological repair crew begins building a seal before too much blood is lost and before the outside world can enter. The vampire bat has evolved directly against that defense. Its saliva keeps the blood flowing, giving the animal time to lap from the wound. It does not suck blood like the old myth suggests. It drinks from the surface, tongue moving over the open cut as the host's own circulation continues supplying the meal. That detail changes the entire feeling of the attack. This is not a predator forcing itself deep into the body. It is a predator persuading the body not to close. The wound is small but chemically held open. The bat drinks because the victim's repair system has been delayed. It is a feeding strategy built around interruption. Interrupt sensation, interrupt clotting, interrupt awareness. In the same forest where jaguars crush skulls and snakes close around ribs, the vampire bat does something quieter and stranger. It turns the body's normal protection into a temporary failure. For the bat, the meal must be managed carefully. Blood is heavy. A small mammal cannot simply fill itself and fly away as if nothing changed. After feeding, vampire bats begin processing the water in the blood quickly, producing urine soon after the meal to reduce weight. A host that remains available may be visited again. Livestock in forest edge clearings can be fed on repeatedly. The same quiet wound-making strategy can happen night after night. A single bite looks minor. Repetition turns it into a pattern of stress. This is where the vampire bat becomes more than a strange animal. It becomes a biological doorway. The bite itself is not usually the dramatic killer. The danger is what the bite allows. In warm, humid environments, open wounds are never neutral. Skin carries bacteria. Mud, bedding, dung, insects, and plant matter surround the sleeping body. A small bleeding cut can become an entrance into tissue that was sealed only minutes before. By morning, the animal may be back in its roost, while the host is left with a tiny mark that has been bleeding far longer than it should. And then there is rabies, the darkest consequence of this relationship. Vampire bats are important rabies vectors across parts of Latin America, especially where humans, livestock, and disturbed forests overlap. The virus takes advantage of the same quiet feeding system that makes the bat so successful. It does not require a dramatic injury. It only needs infected saliva to enter broken skin. A person may sleep through the bite. A farmer may find blood in the morning and not understand what happened. But the virus does not care whether the wound felt serious. It only cares that the door opened. That is why the vampire bat is the perfect opener. It teaches the rules of this world immediately. In the Amazon, danger is not always loud, large, or obvious. Sometimes the most important attack is not the one that kills on contact, but the one that changes the body's boundary. A sleeping host remains warm and breathing. The forest keeps calling around it. The bat lowers its head, opens a clean little cut, adds the chemistry that keeps the blood moving, and drinks from a wound the victim may never feel. Then it lifts back into the darkness, leaving almost nothing behind except a small red mark and a body that has been opened on purpose. On the forest floor, danger does not always move fast. Sometimes it waits in a burrow, half hidden beneath roots and damp leaf litter, wrapped in stillness so complete that the eye almost misses it. The Amazon at night is crowded with motion. Ants cutting through fallen leaves, beetles pushing through soft soil, frogs climbing wet stems, small mammals nosing through the dark for fruit and insects. But inside a shallow tunnel under the earth, the Goliath bird-eater holds its position like a piece of the ground that learned to breathe. It is the largest spider in the world by mass, a heavy-bodied New World tarantula built not for speed across open space, but for control at close range. Its size alone makes it feel like the obvious threat. The legs, the body, the fangs, everything about it looks like a warning. But the first weapon is often not the bite. That is what makes this animal so different from the version people imagine. A tarantula does have fangs. In a spider as large as the Goliath bird-eater, those fangs can deliver a painful mechanical wound, and the sight of them is enough to make most animals hesitate. But for defense, many New World tarantulas rely on something stranger and more efficient. When threatened, the spider can turn its abdomen slightly and use its back legs to kick loose a cloud of urticating hairs. These are not soft hairs in the way human skin understands hair. They are microscopic barbed bristles shaped by evolution to detach, drift and lodge into whatever sensitive surface comes too close. The moment is almost too small to read clearly. A predator noses toward the burrow. A hand disturbs the leaf litter. A curious animal gets too near. The tarantula does not need to chase, leap, or commit to a full attack. It simply brushes its rear legs across the abdomen and sends an invisible irritant into the air. In good light, it may look like dust lifting from the body. In darkness, it may not look like anything at all. But the effect begins when those bristles land. They catch in skin. They settle into folds around the eyes. They can irritate the nose, throat, and airways. Their barbs make them difficult to remove because the more the surface is rubbed, the more deeply they can work themselves in. This is a defensive strategy based on delay. A bite produces immediate pain, but urticating hairs create a problem that follows the victim after the spider is gone. The first sensation may be a sting, a prickle, or a creeping itch. Then the body begins reacting. Skin reddens, nerves fire, the urge to scratch becomes harder to ignore. In the hot air under the canopy, where sweat keeps skin damp and every surface seems alive with spores, bacteria, and grit, irritation quickly becomes obsession. The tarantula has not torn the skin open. It has done something more subtle. It has convinced the victim's own body to begin the damage. That is the cruel logic of this chapter. The spider may never break the skin directly, yet the itching can push the victim to do it instead. Fingernails rake over the same patch again and again. An animal rubs its face against bark or mud. A human scratches until the surface turns raw. What began as microscopic contact becomes broken skin, and broken skin is never a minor event in a rainforest. The Amazon is not sterile. It is a living engine of decomposition and growth, a place where organic matter is recycled with astonishing speed. Leaves rot quickly, dead insects disappear under fungi and ants. Warmth and moisture allow microbes to thrive. In that environment, a scratched open wound becomes a doorway. The spider's defense works because it does not need to win a fight in the usual way. It only needs to make the attacker stop. For a coati, a bird, a reptile, or a small mammal investigating the burrow, a face full of barbed hairs can turn curiosity into retreat. The eyes water, the nose burns, the skin prickles. Instead of continuing the attack, the animal must deal with itself. It shakes its head, rubs its muzzle, claws at the irritation, and loses the focus needed to dig the spider out. The tarantula remains where it is, conserving energy and avoiding the risk of direct combat. In the economy of the forest, that matters. A large spider cannot afford to treat every disturbance as a battle to the death. The Goliath bird-eater's life is shaped by close-range opportunity. It is a terrestrial hunter, often associated with humid rainforest and swampy ground, where burrows provide shelter from predators, heat, and drying air. It waits for prey that comes within reach. Insects, other arthropods, small frogs, lizards, and sometimes small vertebrates. Despite the dramatic name, birds are not its usual food. The name survives because humans remember the rare and spectacular image more easily than the ordinary truth. Most of the time, this spider is not a bird-killing giant. It is a patient ground predator living at the scale of vibrations, contact, and ambush distance. Its world is measured in footsteps through soil, tremors through roots, and the sudden mistake of prey entering range. When the bite does happen, it is different from the hair defense but still biologically important. The fangs of a large tarantula can puncture skin and cause significant mechanical pain simply because of their size. Venom helps the spider subdue prey, but in humans, the bite of many tarantulas is often compared more to a painful sting than to a life-threatening envenomation. The wound itself can still matter, especially in the same environment that makes scratched skin dangerous. Any puncture can become contaminated. Any open pathway through skin can invite bacteria. The bite is dramatic, but in the logic of this episode, the more interesting horror is that the tarantula often does not need to bite at all. It has a defense that turns discomfort into self-inflicted injury. The most serious version of that defense happens when the hairs reach the eyes. The eye is built around exposed sensitivity. It must remain wet, clear, and delicate to do its work. A barbed tarantula hair landing there becomes more than an itch. It can cause persistent inflammation known as ophthalmia nodosa, a condition where tiny foreign bodies trigger nodular inflammatory reactions. Because the hairs are barbed, they may migrate deeper over time, producing irritation that can last far beyond the first encounter. In a place where vision is survival, where an animal must judge distance, movement, shadows, and escape routes, an eye injury is not a small inconvenience. It changes the whole relationship with the forest. There is an irony here that feels almost designed for the Amazon. The tarantula looks like a creature that should rely on obvious force, but its most elegant defense is nearly invisible. The largest spider by mass does not have to prove its strength every time danger arrives. It can weaponize sensitivity. It can use the attacker's skin, eyes, nerves, and reflexes against it. The more the victim reacts, the worse the contact can become. The more it scratches, the more the boundary of the body breaks down. And once that boundary opens, the rainforest does what it always does. It enters. So the tarantula belongs in this episode not because it is the most aggressive animal in the forest, but because it shows how an itch can become a biological trap. A cloud of hairs leaves the abdomen. The spider remains in the dark. The attacker retreats with irritation under the skin and in the eyes, carrying the encounter away from the burrow. Hours later, the spider is still safe, but the victim is still scratching. The wound that finally opens may not have been made by fang or claw. It may have been made by the victim's own hand, nail, paw, or panic. That is the quiet cruelty of the tarantula's defense. It does not always tear the body open. It makes the body do the work itself. At the edge of an Amazon river, the water does not need to move much to feel alive. It holds the color of tea, mud, leaves, and sky, all mixed into a surface that hides more than it reveals. At dawn, Mist rises from the channel in thin layers. At dusk, the last light slides across floating vegetation and the dark roots of the bank. This is when people often come closest to the water, to fish, wash, bathe, gather, cross, or pull a canoe into place before night takes over the river. It is also the hour when a black caiman can be almost invisible. The black caiman is not just another reptile in the Amazon. It is one of the great rulers of these waters, a predator large enough to change the behavior of everything that drinks, swims, or rests near the bank. Adult males can reach enormous size, often around 4 meters and sometimes more, carrying a dark body that blends with the surface at night, like a shadow that has learned to breathe. Only the eyes may give it away, and even those can vanish with a slight lowering of the head. The animal does not need to chase across open ground. Its power comes from patience, positioning, and the ability to turn stillness into violence without warning. A caiman at the surface is easy to underestimate if the body is hidden. The head floats low, the nostrils sit above the water. The eyes watch from a level that lets the animal breathe and see while almost the entire mass remains submerged. Beneath that calm line is a muscular body, built for explosion. The tail is a huge engine. The limbs brace and steer. The skull is a wedge of bone and muscle designed to close with crushing force. This is the architecture of ambush. Minimum movement before the strike. Maximum force at the moment of contact. The attack is not theatrical. It is sudden. A ripple, a dark rise, and then the jaws are there. The caiman does not need the victim to understand what is happening. In fact, the whole hunting strategy is built around the opposite. Fish, birds, capybaras, deer, dogs, and sometimes people at the river's edge may only register the strike after contact has already been made. Dawn and dusk are dangerous, not because the caiman becomes magical in low light, but because vision weakens, shadows lengthen, and the boundary between land and water becomes harder to read. The predator uses that confusion naturally. It belongs to the seam between two worlds. The teeth are not blades like a piranha's. They are conical, built for gripping, holding, and driving into flesh. A crocodilian bite creates a different kind of wound. Deep punctures, crushed tissue, torn skin, and damage that can extend far beneath the visible opening. The surface marks may look like holes, but under the skin, the story is larger. Muscle can be bruised or shredded. Blood vessels can tear. Dirt, water, saliva, and bacteria can be forced deep into tissue under pressure. The jaws do not simply open the body, they inject the environment into it. That is why the bite remains dangerous even when it does not kill immediately. The black caiman is frightening because of its size, but the second battle begins after the jaws release. Crocodilian mouths carry complex bacterial communities shaped by food, water, carrion, prey, and the animal's own oral biology. A caiman feeds in a world full of fish slime, mud, decaying vegetation, dead animals, and warm fresh water. Its teeth do not arrive clean. When those teeth puncture deeply, they can carry contamination into places that are difficult for the body to defend and difficult for people to clean without medical care. This is where the finale connects to the whole theme. Earlier chapters showed smaller openings, a bat making a painless cut, a spider causing a victim to scratch itself raw, an armadillo turning casual contact into a disease risk, a piranha slicing a clean piece from the skin, and peccary tusks tearing the body open with brute force. The Caiman brings all of those ideas into one final image. The opening is deep, the contamination is heavy, The environment is waterlogged, warm, and alive with microbes. The animal is massive enough to crush, but the wound it leaves can continue working after the attack ends. A survivor of the initial strike may think first about bleeding, broken tissue, and shock. Those are immediate and real. But hours later, the body may face something less visible and just as serious. Deep puncture wounds can trap bacteria below the surface, especially when damaged tissue and poor circulation create pockets where infection can spread. Swelling increases, pain sharpens. Skin around the wound becomes hot, fever begins. In severe cases, soft tissue infection can move quickly, and sepsis can turn a local injury into a whole-body crisis. The predator has left, but the mouth of the predator has carried a second danger inside. There is no anti-venom for this. No single vial reverses the problem. The answer is cleaning, irrigation, debridement, antibiotics, surgery when needed, and speed. Speed is often the hardest part in the Amazon. A person attacked while fishing or collecting water may be far from a clinic. A boat may be the only ambulance. Weather, darkness, river distance, and money can all become part of the injury. The wound does not wait politely while help is found. Bacteria multiply on their own schedule. The river does not pause because the nearest hospital is hours away. The black caiman itself is not a monster in the moral sense. It is an apex predator doing what apex predators do, controlling space, removing vulnerable animals, scavenging when opportunity appears, and shaping the behavior of the animals around it. Its presence changes where mammals drink, how birds choose nesting sites, and how people think about the waterline. In healthy Amazon systems, large predators are not decorations. They are ecological pressure made visible. They keep fear distributed through the landscape, and fear is one of nature's most powerful organizing forces. Even its darkness has meaning. The black coloration helps the animal disappear in night water and may assist with absorbing heat. Like other reptiles, it depends on external heat to regulate body temperature, moving between water, shade, and sun according to the needs of its metabolism. A caiman lying still is not inactive in the way a sleeping machine is inactive. It is conserving energy, watching, warming, waiting, and choosing the rare moment when movement is worth the cost. When that movement comes, it is almost too fast for an animal so large. That is why the riverbank remains one of the most dangerous borders in the Amazon. It looks like a place where land ends and water begins, but for the caiman, it is a hunting corridor. Legs entering the shallows, hands reaching down, fish struggling on a line, a dog drinking, a person washing at dusk. All of these create signals in a place where the predator is already listening through water movement, sight, smell, and vibration. The caiman does not need to understand the human world. It only needs to respond to the body at the edge. As a finale, the black caiman gives the theme its largest form. The gateway here is not subtle or hidden. It is opened by the biggest jaws in Amazon water, with punctures driven deep and contamination carried straight into the wound. If the victim survives the force, the body still has to survive what follows. The river, the mouth, the bacteria, the crushed tissue, the distance from treatment, all of it becomes part of the attack. In the Amazon, the bite is sometimes only the first event. The real horror is what enters after the body has been opened. Not every opening in the body begins with a bite. Some begin with curiosity. On the Amazon forest floor, where the night rain has softened the ground and roots hold the soil like knuckles, a 9-banded armadillo moves through the leaf litter with the steady, almost harmless rhythm of a small armored machine. It is not built to terrify anything. Its head stays low, its ears flick at insects. Its long snout works through damp earth, searching for grubs, beetle larvae, ants, termites, and whatever small life can be uncovered by patient digging. Beside the louder predators of the rainforest, the armadillo feels almost innocent. It does not stare like a cat. It does not coil like a snake. It does not show venom, fangs, or warning colors. It simply noses through the dark, wrapped in a shell of flexible armor, doing the quiet work of turning soil and feeding on the hidden life below it. That harmless appearance is part of the danger. People pick up animals they do not fear. A sleeping bat or a spider in a burrow might trigger caution, but an armadillo often triggers the opposite response: curiosity, confidence, even amusement. It looks slow enough to catch and awkward enough to handle. In rural parts of the Americas, armadillos may be hunted, butchered, cooked, or carried by hand. The encounter can feel ordinary, almost rustic, just another moment between people and wildlife at the forest edge. But some biological doors open without drama. Sometimes the most dangerous contact is not an attack. It is a hand reaching toward the wrong animal. The nine-banded armadillo is one of the most important natural animal reservoirs of Mycobacterium leprae, the bacterium that causes Hansen's disease, better known as leprosy. This fact feels strange because the armadillo does not look like a carrier of an ancient human disease. It looks like a relic from a different branch of mammal history, a xenothron, related to sloths and anteaters, armored against teeth and claws, but not against human attention. Yet its body creates a rare opportunity for the bacterium. Armadillos have a relatively low body temperature compared with many mammals, and Mer leprae grows best in cooler tissues. In humans, the disease often favors the skin, nasal passages, and peripheral nerves, places where temperatures can be lower than the body's core. In armadillos, the whole animal offers a cooler landscape where the bacterium can persist and multiply. This is what makes the armadillo chapter so unnerving. The danger is not immediate. There may be no scream, no swelling wound, no collapse under the trees. The animal can be handled, released, cleaned, or eaten, and the person may walk away believing nothing happened. If claws scratch the skin during handling, if tissue or fluids touch a break in the skin, or if close exposure happens during hunting and butchering, the contact becomes a possible route for infection. The scratch itself may look minor, just a thin red line across a finger or wrist. In a rainforest, scratches happen constantly. Thorns catch the skin, bark tears the knuckles. Insects bite. Mud hides sharp fragments of shell and wood. One more scrape barely deserves attention. But biology does not measure danger by how dramatic the wound appears. It measures whether a barrier has been broken. Leprosy is a slow disease, and that slowness is part of its cruelty. Many infections announce themselves quickly, forcing the victim to connect cause and effect. A bite becomes swelling, a sting becomes pain. A fever follows a mosquito season. Hansen's disease can unfold over years. By the time patches of skin lose sensation, by the time numbness appears in the hands or feet, by the time lesions or nerve damage begin to change how the body feels the world, the original encounter may be almost impossible to remember. A person may not think back to an armadillo handled years earlier, or meat prepared in a camp, or a small scratch that healed and disappeared. The gateway closes on the surface, but the consequence may still be moving quietly through the nerves. The disease is often misunderstood because its most frightening effects come not from the body falling apart overnight, but from sensation being stolen piece by piece. Leprosy targets the skin and peripheral nerves, the long communication lines that carry touch, pain, heat, and position back to the brain. When those nerves are damaged, the body becomes less able to protect itself. A foot that cannot feel heat may stand too close to a fire. Fingers that cannot feel pain may be injured again and again during work. Skin that loses sensation stops sending warnings. The body remains alive, but its alarm system begins to fail. That is why leprosy can open the body in a deeper sense than a cut. It does not only breach the surface, it changes the relationship between injury and awareness. The armadillo itself is not trying to do any of this. It is not a villain. It is an ecosystem engineer in miniature, digging through soil, aerating patches of ground, exposing insects, turning over organic material, and becoming prey for larger predators when caught away from cover. Its claws are tools, shaped for excavation, not infection. Its armor is defense, not menace. It is dangerous in this story precisely because it is ordinary. It belongs to the edge zones where forest, farms, villages, and hunting trails overlap. These are the places where many zoonotic diseases find opportunity, not because animals are invading human lives, but because human lives and animal lives are pressed into closer contact. In the Amazon, that edge can be thin. A garden backs into secondary forest. A hunting path crosses a burrow. A child sees an armored animal rooting near a clearing. A dog corners one beneath fallen branches. Someone reaches down, confident because the animal does not look capable of harm. The armadillo may twist, kick, or scratch with those sharp, digging claws. The wound may be washed poorly or ignored. Later, there may be food, smoke, laughter, and no sense of danger at all. The memory becomes harmless because the animal seemed harmless. That is the unexpected power of this chapter. The vampire bat opens the skin with teeth. The tarantula makes the victim scratch itself raw. The armadillo introduces a different kind of gateway, the gateway of contact. It shows that the body can be opened not only by violence, but by trust, handling, and the false comfort of an animal that does not perform danger for the human eye. Evolution did not design the armadillo to frighten us. It designed it to dig, hide, endure, and survive. The bacterium found its own quiet advantage inside that cooler body, so the armadillo earns its place here because it breaks the pattern. It is not the creature viewers expect in a story about wounds, infection, and the body being opened. It is calm, armored, awkward, and almost comically unthreatening, and that is exactly the point. In the rainforest, danger is not always written on the surface. Sometimes it is carried inside a body that looks safe enough to touch, inside a scratch small enough to forget, inside a disease slow enough to erase the memory of where it began. The most unsettling gateway may not be a fang, a sting, or a bite. It may be a handshake with the wrong animal. The Amazon River does not look dangerous in only one way. It can be broad and calm under the morning light, carrying reflections of trees across a brown surface that seems almost slow. It can also shrink into channels during the dry season, pulling fish, reptiles, insects, and people into the same tightening strips of water. Along the banks, roots hang like dark ropes. Mud holds the prints of birds, capybaras, dogs, and bare human feet. A fisherman steps into the shallows to free a net. A child wades at the edge where the current is gentle. Someone washing, working, or crossing through knee-deep water feels the river around the ankles and thinks mostly about balance, mud, and whatever may be hidden under the surface. Then the water snaps. The red-bellied piranha is one of those animals whose reputation has almost buried the real creature underneath it. Movies turned it into a living blender, a swarm that strips bodies to bone in seconds. The truth is less theatrical and more useful. Piranhas are not mindless killers waiting for humans to fall in. They are fish shaped by a river system where food appears, disappears, rots, floods, concentrates, and moves with the seasons. They feed on fish, insects, fins, carrion, scraps of flesh, and whatever the water makes available. They are predators, scavengers, and survivors in an ecosystem where waste rarely stays wasted for long. Their danger to people is usually not the impossible feeding frenzy. It is the single bite that happens at exactly the wrong place, in exactly the wrong water. The mouth explains the fear. A red-bellied piranha has triangular teeth that interlock with the teeth above, creating a cutting edge built for shearing. These teeth do not crush like a mammal's molars or grip like the needle teeth of many fish. They slice. When the jaws close, the bite can remove a clean, curved piece of flesh, often leaving the kind of wound that looks strangely deliberate, almost too neat for something that happened in an instant. The shape is part of the horror. A ragged tear looks chaotic, but a piranha bite can look engineered. The fish does not need to hold on. It rushes, bites, and pulls away with a piece of tissue gone. Most human encounters are not the river declaring war. Many bites happen in shallow areas, often on the feet, hands, or lower legs, because those are the parts people place into the fish's world. Wading feet disturb nesting areas. Fingers near nets, hooks, trapped fish, or bait become close-range targets. During the dry season, when water levels drop and fish become concentrated in shrinking pools and channels, competition and stress can rise. Food may be harder to find. Animals that normally have more space are pressed closer together. In that tight seasonal world, a quick defensive or opportunistic bite is not a monster story. It is a fish responding to pressure, hunger, movement, blood, or disturbance. From the fish's perspective, the bite is efficient. A piranha cannot afford long struggles with large animals. Its strength lies in speed, jaw mechanics, and the ability to remove tissue fast. In a river full of larger predators, speed matters. Caimans patrol the edges. River dolphins move through deeper channels. Big catfish wait in the brown water. Birds strike from above. Even a fish armed with blades has enemies. The piranha's teeth are not a sign that it dominates the river. They are a sign that it must feed quickly, defend itself quickly, and turn opportunity into calories before another animal steals the moment. For the person bitten, the first danger is obvious. The pain is sharp, sudden, and ugly. Blood opens into the water. The wound may be deep enough to expose soft tissue, and even a small bite can leave a clean, missing notch that is difficult to ignore. But the true theme of this chapter begins a second later. Once the teeth have opened the door, the river has access. Warm, fresh water is not empty. It carries bacteria, decaying plant matter, animal waste, fish slime, mud particles, and the invisible chemistry of a rainforest that decomposes life almost as quickly as it grows it. A cut made in that water is not the same as a cut made on clean, dry skin. It is an exposed surface inside a living soup. That is where the bite becomes a delayed problem. A person may pull the foot from the water, wrap it, limp back to shore, and think the worst moment has passed. In one sense, it has. The fish is gone. The snap is over. The blood can be stopped. But the wound has already been rinsed with the river before it can be cleaned properly. Bacteria that normally belong in water, mud, fish, and decaying matter can enter tissue that was sealed moments before. If the wound is not cleaned and treated, infection can begin to build beneath the surface. Redness, swelling, heat, worsening pain, pus, fever, and spreading soft tissue damage may arrive later, when the bite no longer feels like an animal encounter, but like a medical problem unfolding far from help. The Amazon makes this more serious because distance changes everything. A minor wound near a hospital and a minor wound in a remote river community are not the same event. In a city, cleaning, antibiotics, wound care and follow-up can happen quickly. Along a river, travel may depend on boat fuel, daylight, weather, money, and whether anyone recognizes the wound as dangerous. A small piranha bite can become a larger problem because time passes. The body is left to fight contamination while humidity keeps bandages damp. Mud gets everywhere, and work still needs to be done. People fish, walk, carry, paddle, and repair nets because the river is not a place they visit. It is the road, the kitchen, the workplace, and the source of food. There is an uncomfortable honesty in the piranha's role as a scavenger. Scavenging is not dirty in nature's language, it is essential. A dead fish, an injured animal, scraps left by another predator, or tissue floating downstream all become part of the river's recycling system. Piranhas help return flesh to the food web. They reduce waste, feed themselves and other animals indirectly, and participate in the constant transfer of energy through water, mud, and muscle. But that same ecological role reminds us what kind of environment the wound has entered. This is a system built to break down organic matter. When human skin opens inside it, the river does not politely stay outside. The red-bellied piranha is therefore most frightening when understood accurately. Not as a cartoon swarm, but as a precise cutting animal living in water that can turn a bite into an infection story. Its attack may be a single flash under the surface, a half-second collision between human flesh and fish teeth. Yet that half-second creates a new boundary problem. Skin is the body's wall against the outside world. The piranha cuts a gap in that wall, and the river, full of life too small to see, reaches through. In the end, this chapter belongs here because it gives the theme its purest river form. The vampire bat leaves a bleeding opening. The tarantula makes the victim scratch itself raw. The armadillo shows how contact with a harmless-looking animal can carry disease through broken skin. The piranha is more direct. It opens the body cleanly, with one fast crescent-shaped bite, then disappears back into the brown water. What remains is the wound, the heat, the bacteria, the distance from treatment, and the slow realization that the bite was only the beginning. In the Amazon, the teeth do not have to finish the job. Sometimes they only open the door, and the river walks straight through it. In the Amazon, daylight can be misleading. Morning breaks through the canopy in gold fragments, catching on wet leaves, shining across buttress roots, and making the forest floor look calmer than it really is. The danger feels easier to imagine at night, when eyeshine appears between trees and every sound in the undergrowth feels suspicious. But some of the rainforest's most overwhelming force moves under the sun, not in silence and not alone. Long before the animals appear, the forest begins to announce them. Leaves crack, mud churns, low grunts pass through the trees. Then comes the dry, hard sound of teeth clacking together, a warning that carries through the understory like sticks snapping in a fire. White-lipped peccaries do not enter the scene like predators, they arrive like weather. A herd can move through the forest in dozens or hundreds, black bodies pressing between trunks, pale mouths flashing as they root through the ground. They are pig-like, but they are not pigs. They are neotropical ungulates, with compact bodies, strong jaws, sharp canines, and a social life built around movement in numbers. A single animal deserves respect. A full herd changes the atmosphere of the forest. It becomes a living front, trampling seedlings, overturning leaf litter, exposing insects, crushing fruit, and leaving behind the musky scent of animals that do not pass gently through a place. Most of the time, this force is ecological, not hostile. White-lipped peccaries are among the great movers of the Amazon floor. They feed on fruits, palm nuts, seeds, roots, fungi, invertebrates, and whatever the season makes available. As they forage, they disturb soil and reshape small patches of habitat. A herd can open trails, churn mud near waterholes, disperse some seeds and destroy others, and create opportunities for smaller animals that use the disturbed ground afterward. In a forest where so much life is vertical, the peccary herd is horizontal power, linking fruiting trees, mineral licks, streams, wallows, and resting places through constant movement. The danger begins when that living system feels trapped, pursued, or threatened. A white-lipped peccary does not need to be a predator to become dangerous. It only needs to decide that standing ground is safer than fleeing. In dense forest, escape is not always simple. A human hunter, a dog, a fallen tree, a steep bank, or a narrow trail can compress the encounter. The same herd that was foraging moments earlier can suddenly turn its noise toward one point. Heads lift, tusks click, bodies bunch. The sound changes from movement to warning. Then, if the pressure continues, the forest can seem to rush forward all at once. A charging peccary herd is frightening because it removes the comfort of scale. These are not huge animals individually, but they arrive in overwhelming numbers at knee and thigh height, exactly where a human body is vulnerable to being knocked down, slashed, or surrounded. The attack is not venomous, it is not chemically subtle. It is the oldest kind of damage: impact, tusk, muscle, and panic. Their canine teeth are sharp tools used for feeding, defense, and fighting. In a close strike, those tusks can slash through skin and muscle, leaving wounds very different from the clean crescent of a piranha bite or the tiny surgical opening of a vampire bat. Peccary wounds can be deep, ragged, and crushed at the edges, the kind of injury that immediately tells the body something has been torn open. The contamination begins at the same moment. A tusk is not a sterile blade. It belongs to an animal that roots in mud, chews fallen fruit, crushes seeds, bites plant matter, and carries its own oral bacteria. The strike can drive soil, saliva, plant fragments, and surface bacteria into broken tissue. In the jungle, the wound is exposed not only to the animal's mouth, but to the ground itself. Mud splashes, sweat runs, hands press against the injury, clothing sticks to blood. Leaves, dirt, and the invisible life of the forest meet the inside of a body that was never meant to be open to them. This is why deep punctures and lacerations are so dangerous. A shallow scrape can sometimes drain and clean itself more easily, but a deep torn wound can close at the surface while contamination remains trapped below. Inside that pocket, away from air and difficult to wash properly, bacteria can multiply. Some infections thrive in damaged tissue where blood supply is reduced and oxygen is limited. Swelling increases pressure, pain deepens, heat builds around the wound. What began as a charge in broad daylight can become a night of fever, spreading redness, and the slow realization that the attack did not end when the herd disappeared. There is no anti-venom for this kind of threat, because venom is not the problem. A snake bite sends the mind toward toxins. A spider or scorpion suggests chemistry. A stingray brings thoughts of venom and pain. The peccary is simpler, and in that simplicity more brutal. The body has been opened by force, and what matters next is bleeding, contamination, cleaning, antibiotics, surgical care, and distance from help. In remote forest, distance becomes part of the injury. The wound is carried on a trail, into a canoe, across mud, under heat, and through hours of delay. Time gives bacteria room to work. The herd itself moves on. White-lipped peccaries are not villains patrolling the forest for people. They are prey animals, seed predators, soil turners, and social mammals trying to survive in a landscape that pressures them from every side. Jaguars hunt them, humans hunt them. Habitat fragmentation breaks the large spaces their herds need. Their aggression is not madness, it is group defense. When dozens or hundreds of bodies stand together, a jaguar must think carefully. A dog can be surrounded. A human who pushes too close may discover that the forest has animals capable not only of fleeing danger, but of driving straight into it. This is the chapter's place in the larger story. Earlier dangers opened the body quietly. A bat's painless cut, a spider's itching hairs, a disease hidden behind an innocent-looking animal, a fish bite that lets the river in. The peccary brings the opposite energy. Nothing here is delicate. The gateway is not subtle, microscopic, or delayed in the beginning. It is torn wide open by tusks in a burst of noise, mud, and collective force. But the deeper theme remains the same. The first wound is only the entrance. The real danger begins with what enters afterward. In the Amazon, a charging herd in daylight breaks the usual imagination of the forest. People expect danger to come from shadows, water, venom, or camouflage. White-lipped peccaries come openly, loudly, and together. They are not hunting you, and that almost makes them more believable as a real-world threat. They are defending space, reacting as a herd, using the tools evolution gave them. If the tusks connect, the body is no longer sealed. Soil, saliva, plant matter, and bacteria are carried inside with the force of the impact. The forest does not need poison here. It only needs an opening large enough to enter.